Hey guys, welcome back to New World Carpentry Solutions. In this video, we're going to be tackling another one of my scrap wood builds. So I have a bunch of scraps of mahogany left over from the door that I did. So there are a lot of 10, 12, 14-inch blanks. They're varied in widths between like 5 and 6 inches. And then I have tons of thin rips and strips from red oak, some Osage orange, a little bit of walnut. And I've always wanted to try to do curved inlays. It's been a project that I've been kind of seeing all over YouTube, and I thought it would be a really cool way to turn a lot of the scraps into something. Again, you can use this technique to make box lids, panels for a door, cutting boards. In this case though, because a lot of my mahogany scraps are my bigger blank boards, they're not so big, so I'm actually just going to do a set of coasters, well, a bunch of coasters. So essentially what I want to do is take each one of these blanks, draw a line going down it kind of to create a curve, and I'm going to freehand it over here on the bandsaw, and then we're going to address the next step over on the bench. So watch me go ahead and rip all these down, and then join me over on the bench. The next step after you have your pieces bandsawed in half is to go ahead and start rounding out or smoothing off all your bandsaw cuts. The bandsaw cut's perfectly perpendicular, but it does leave ridges in all of your cut edges. So if you want to actually glue a strip in there, it won't be perfectly smooth. If you have an oscillating spindle sander, this is definitely the time to go use it. And if you don't, like me, you're going to grab a can or something round and then some sandpaper and kind of just use that to fair out all of your edges. You want to make sure that you don't go too far, that you're changing the contours of your cuts. You want to make sure your pieces still go together perfectly and nest, so that way when you go to actually inlay your strips, they're able to close up and have a perfectly tight joint. One thing that I am doing currently off screen is actually soaking all of my strips. All my strips are currently about a quarter inch, maybe 3/8 on the thicker side. A quarter inch to thinner actually works really nice for this process, but you do want to soak them. I currently have them soaking, and then I'm going to let them dry out after I apply them into the clamps. And essentially you guys will see that in the next step, so join me back once we get there. Alright, the next step in the process is to take your soaking wet strips and then take your pieces that you cut on the bandsaw and use them as a set of cawls. You're essentially going to be trying to preset the bend into each one of your strips. While it's still wet, you're going to take the clamp and actually bring your two pieces together and kind of cinch in your strip, and that's going to preset the bend already, and you're going to let them stay there until they dry, so about 15 to 30 minutes. The strip will dry out and the pieces that are cut on the bandsaw will eventually dry, and then we're going to go into the next process, which is the actual glue ups. Alright, and the next step in this process is to actually remove them from the clamps, and you guys will be able to see how it keeps the pre-bent shape already into the strip. And essentially by using that pre-bent shape, I'm able to now apply glue to both sides of the cuts and then actually clamp this up for the proper glue up. And this is going to be the same process that I'm going to rinse and repeat until I have all the inlays that I want for each one of these pieces. In some of these cases I might have like 3 or 4 different inlays, so essentially I will have to bend the wood, glue it up, and then after it dries, recut it on the bandsaw, glue another strip in, let it dry, and then keep rinsing and repeating this process until I have the look that I want. But as you guys can see, it's not too complicated. You're going to spray glue to both sides. You already have your pre-bent strip, and then you're going to come back with a set of clamps. The same thing you did when you actually pre-bent the shape. you'll do the exact same process when you actually go into the glue up. It's pretty simple. It's just a lot of rinsing and repeating to get the overall look that you're aiming for. But I'll catch back up with you guys on the next step. Alright, one of the last steps in this process is to actually flatten up all the boards. And again, I could go over to my thickness planer, but I figured because some of these strips are actually hanging off long and I finally have my hand tool bench inside of the shop, why not try doing this by hand? So at first I tried with my larger hand plane, but I realized I need to kind of do a curve, or like not pretty much plane straight. I'm trying to actually just plane on my strips, so the larger plane was a little too large to make the curves that I wanted to, but my little block plane is actually perfect to sit there and follow the contours. And after I get it low enough, I'll come back and finish everything out with the larger hand plane, again just to flatten the boards up enough so I can send them through the planer. I'm only trying to address one side so I can then send it through my thickness planer. Actually, I can't remember. I think I did not go through the planer actually because of how short all these pieces are. I believe the DW735, you don't want to put anything in there that's less than 12 inches. Also, you can kind of see how these panels are fairly small. So what I end up doing with most of these is just, again, a bunch of coasters. But you could miter these up, do some dovetails or anything else to make a really custom box. They could be side panels for a drawer box. You know, there's a lot of decorative ways that you can use this inlay technique to kind of up your woodworking projects. This is just, again, a way for me to test my skills. I've never done this before. I am really loving how they came out. I'll show you guys again once we actually get all these flattened up what they look like, and then I'll show you guys one more glimpse of them once they turn into coasters. So if you guys are enjoying this, enjoy the speed up as well. And just like that, you guys are left with beautiful blanks that you guys can pretty much turn into anything. They can either be a side panel again for your drawers. They could be an access panel on a door that you're building. They could very well be the lid to a box that you're doing. Using inlays like this was a really cool practice technique for me. I definitely enjoyed how they came out. The last thing I'm going to show you guys before the video ends, I'm kind of just going to beat through the last little bit of this footage here, but then I'm going to drop in some pictures of the finished products, what they actually look like as coasters, and after they have finish applied to them. But if you guys have enjoyed this and stuck through with me throughout this entire video, I greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy all the footage toward the end. Definitely please remember to leave me a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all my other social media, being Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. We're on our way to monetization across almost all of the platforms, so all the support from people like you definitely helps me. I greatly appreciate it, and like always, I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.